forbid me from having my service dog. First, I'm going to say my service dog's behavior is beyond reproach to the extent that people compliment her behavior on a regular basis at the end of class. My service dog is unique, but so is my disability, but she is perfectly trained to perform in the capacity that is required to assist me in overcoming adversity. How is she unique? Well, I trained her to ride around inside my backpack, and this way people hardly notice her, so my disabilities can become more anonymous than having to explain to people why I have her in the first place, because it's complicated, but it's legitimate. But in all honesty, most people are not intelligent enough to understand what makes her different from an emotional support animal, since her primary job is to help me control my emotions. You must understand my condition to know the difference. So I have something called Addison's disease. The first thing you need to know in order to understand this disease is understanding the hormone called cortisol. Cortisol is nicknamed the stress hormone because as your stress levels rise, so do your cortisol levels. Cortisol is your body's natural defense from stress, allowing us to handle stress in a way that doesn't overwhelm us psychologically or physiologically. I'm going to quote Dr. Jeanne Morrison, PhD, on an article she wrote on behalf of Stigma Nursing family practitioners to explain what happens when someone with Addison's disease experiences too much stress. Stress has a pretty significant effect on people with Addison's disease. Addison's disease causes a shortage of cortisol, which is a hormone response for helping the body with stress. Cope with stress. So when people with Addison's disease experience stressful events such as illness, injury, surgery, or psychological stress, they could go into Addisonian crisis. This means that they have symptoms like severe muscle pain, vomiting, very low blood pressure, and even loss of consciousness or shock. If people with Addison's know that they're putting their bodies through stress, whether it's physical, psychological, or emotional, they should talk to their doctors about adjusting medication levels to help their body cope with that additional strain. So here's the source of the citation, if you're curious. It's not just she helped with emotional support, but so something with the Addisonian crisis is your higher brain function begins to shut down. When your higher brain function begins to shut down, your mind literally starts to become poisoned, and stress can lead to actual brain damage. During a stressful situation, your memory starts glitching, and things that you understood moments before will be looking like hieroglyphics when your stress levels rise. At other schools, I was given testing accommodations that gave me extra time on tests, note cards for memory prompts, along with my service dog at every single school I've gone to since I've been out of the Marine Corps prior to attending Portland Fashion Institute. I brought my service dog to school with me every single day for the first term, and she was never a problem a single time the entire term. She was frequently complimented on her behavior because she just sleeps in my backpack and will stay in it for 14 hours straight without even trying to get out if needed. It wasn't until the owner of the school found out that I had her on the first day of the second term of school, and it was in the middle of the summer, and the owner of the school told me I could leave my dog in my car in the middle of summer for the next 3 hours and come back to class, or I had to go home for the day. I was given the option to leave my dog in the summer heat in my car and kill her, or I had to leave school and go home for the day. So here is the paperwork for my adrenal deficiency from my Addison's disease. So my service dog is completely legitimate. Nobody can question it. But I wasn't given the chance to explain it because she didn't care. So this is my award letter showing I have an adrenal deficiency and thus have legitimate cause for my service dog. My dog isn't just there to help control my emotions. She is there to prevent devastating physiological changes to my body and mind that both have physical and cognitive consequences if my stress is not controlled. Stress can lead to further brain damage beyond what I've already suffered if not managed. My school told me I couldn't have my service dog because at some time or on some day there will be a student who has allergies, and so I'm not allowed to have my service dog because theoretically me having my service dog might give someone the sniffles, while me not having my service dog could theoretically lead to me having an adrenal crisis. Let me show you my allergy causing mongrel who never leaves the backpack to get hair on anything ever. She doesn't actually come in contact with any school property ever, just my backpack. Her positioning allows me to keep her close so I can pet her. When I feel stress and anxiety start to rise, I always set her on a chair so she's never in the way either when I did bring her to PFI. So she was never in the way. Like I said, brought her to school with me for an entire term. Never in the way once. Not a single complaint. So like it wasn't like I was putting her someplace that got in the way. She was completely out of the way, didn't affect anybody, didn't bother anyone. People didn't even know she was there unless I told them. So, and that's what happened. I told the owner of the school that I had her because I was looking for a chair to put her in, because I put her on a chair because I needed the desk space. So, yeah. So I wanted to put her in a chair out of the way that wasn't going to affect anybody and in any sort of way, but you know what? They said, fuck me. So this is that killer dog I was talking about. Like, you can see how calmly and coolly she just sits in her backpack, just hanging out. She just rides, she's chilling. She thinks she's the biggest, baddest ever because she gets to go everywhere with her daddy. Like, as you can see, she's like, I only put her on the desk and if the class isn't affected whatsoever and if the teacher doesn't care. Like, if there's a single issue, I wouldn't do it. But also, keep in mind, she's in a backpack. She's not coming into contact with anything. Like it's just like my backpack sitting on a desk. Like, it's no different. Like, because there's no contact. It's just, like, but I normally put her in a chair. It just depends on the environment. Like, what's appropriate. Like, and I've never had an issue because of it ever with any class, any teacher, like since I've had her ever. So with like I've never been in conflict with anyone about having her ever, like except for at Portland Fashion Institute.